Do you need a new hobby? Well, have I got just the thing for you. It's called photography, and I'm gonna show you how to get started. But I'm not doing this voice the entire time. You're welcome. This video is for people who are brand new to photography and those who have used a DSLR before, but it's been a while and you need a refresher course. So we're not going to get too crazy technical with things here. Now, before we get started on how to use a camera, I want to talk very briefly about what camera to start out with. You actually have a few different options. Starting out with a DSLR, I'd buy a used one. This Canon 70D is about 7 years old. You can probably pick one up with an 18 to 55mm kit lens. We'll talk about lenses a little bit later. And for about $400 or $500. Very worth it. But any DSLR by Nikon or Canon that's been made within the last 10 years is a good starter camera. So you're likely to be able to get a good DSLR for even cheaper than what you'd be able to pick up this one for. You can also look at mirrorless cameras. I wouldn't get one any older than about 3-4 years old. The technology's just started to get good within those years. I'm currently filming on a Lumix G7 that was made back in 2017, and it's filming in 4K. Lastly, you can get lenses for your iPhone and an app called Manual. Manual is an app that allows you to use your iPhone camera just like a DSLR or mirrorless camera. So all the settings that we're getting ready to talk about are usable in that app. There's probably offerings on the Android side of things too. I've always been an iPhone user, so that's all I know, so I apologize. Okay, step one in learning how to use a camera. Use the mode dial to set the camera to full manual. Just pretend full auto isn't even an option. Familiarize yourself with the selection wheel, as this will likely be your main method to make necessary adjustments. Of course, we have the shutter release button here. A full press will take the picture. Your first camera lens will likely be a zoom lens, which you see here. This one goes from 18 to 55mm, which you can adjust on the lens like this. If you have autofocus turned off, you will manually adjust focus here. A couple things to note about lens size. One, the larger the millimeter, the more zoomed in you'll be. The smaller the millimeter, the wider the shot will be. There are also lenses with fixed sizes that are called prime lenses. To switch lenses, press the release button next to the lens and twist until the current lens easily comes off. This should be practically effortless to do. When putting on the new lens, you gently twist it on until it clicks into place. Moving on to settings, first we'll talk about shutter speed. This determines how long the camera needs to take the picture. This can range from several seconds to mere thousandths of a second. This adjustment is necessary to compensate for how bright you want your picture to be and to capture moving objects. Note that speeds slower than 1/30th of a second will likely require the camera to be on a tripod, and objects moving even slightly could come out blurry. Next is aperture, also known as f-stop. This affects what is and isn't in focus. The smaller the number, the blurrier you can make the foreground and background of your subject. If you want absolutely everything in focus, crank that number up a bit. Notice that this too affects the brightness of your picture. Lenses are rated by their lowest possible aperture, so keep this in mind when picking one out. Next is ISO. Think of this as your picture quality. The higher this number goes, the brighter your picture will be, but at the cost of the image potentially looking grainy. This depends how well your camera handles low light situations. Most of photography comes down to balancing shutter speed, aperture, and ISO to achieve the look you want while dealing with the light you have. However, there are other settings we'll briefly cover to be mindful of once you get the hang of those three things. White balance is making sure that whites look white, and therefore assures color accuracy. Much like autofocus, this is a setting that is okay to set to auto in certain situations. If you want full control of this though, you can select a preset, or manually adjust the white balance to where you want it. Drive mode determines a few things. Whether your camera will take a single or multiple shots when you press and hold the shutter button. Set a 2 or 10 second timer, or if you want the camera to be triggered by a remote. Autofocus mode is how you tell your camera to determine what should be focused on. These modes can vary from camera to camera. And that's pretty much what you need to know to get started using a camera. Now, we didn't get into editing pictures. That can be a completely separate video if that's something you guys want to see. Comment down below if you do. I use Adobe Photoshop and Lightroom, but that is a paid subscription service, and if you don't want to pay for that, there are free options out there. You can even just use Instagram's limited editing tools if you upload your pictures onto your phone, because we all know that we're just all going to post our pictures on Instagram anyway. One more thing before I wrap up this video. If you need some inspiration for your photography, I suggest joining 52frames.com. It's a free community of photographers that puts out weekly challenges. They're not paying me to promote them or anything. It's just something that I'm really passionate about. I really enjoy being a part of. And I suggest that anyone who picks up a camera joins as well. So thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like that, hit subscribe and comment down below what you'd like to see. If you want to see my photography, go onto Facebook, look for Shifter Photography, or pop onto Instagram, @Shifter. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.